Jermell for head undisputed title. Out of those two, who would you view as the more tougher guy to beat?
I was Spence
and Jermell.
I think they fight the same. They fight the same, you know. So it's just like probably fighting brothers.
But there's got to be, I mean, as a trainer, there has to be one of them that you're looking at like, yeah, they probably fight a little bit similar, but this guy's probably a little bit more difficult to beat than that guy.
I would give it to Spence, man, you know, because of what he accomplished in the sport of boxing.
Over Jermell, even though that would be a higher weight, Jermell is also undisputed, beat pretty much every top
guy. But he didn't get beat before, so Spence ain't been beat yet. Spence ain't, don't have that bounce yet.
Gotcha. And just the last thing for me, in a possible Spence versus Crawford fight, would you see it? Would you see Crawford getting the knockout? I mean, since he moved up to 147, Jermell for head undisputed title. Out of those two, who would you view as the more tougher guy to beat?
I was Spence and
Jermell.
I think they fight the same. They fight the same.
What's going on, boxing heads? It's your boy, Cool Kind of Boxing, coming back at you with another boxing video for the boxing heads and the boxing minds. Please smash that like button and hit that super thanks for your boy for more hardcore boxing content. So Bomack came out and he said that Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo, they're the same. He said they fight the same. And he also said that Errol Spence Jr. was better than Jermell Charlo. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. They got to get into the ring. We got to find that out. You know what I'm saying? If they ever face each other. But I disagree with what Bomack says. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we just don't. We've seen the evidence. You know what I'm saying? We've seen how Jermell fights his fights. Then we've seen how Errol Spence Jr. fight his fights. Jermell Charlo, 35 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 19 KOs. He's got a 51% KO ratio. He's 6 foot and he's got a 73-inch reach. Errol Spence Jr., 28 wins, 1 no losses, 22 KOs. He's got a 78% KO ratios. He's 5'9.5", and he's got a 72-inch reach. It's interesting that Errol Spence Jr. got a higher KO percentage than Jermell Charlo, even though Jermell Charlo is the one with more power. Also, Jermell Charlo started his career in boxing back in 2007, and Errol Spence Jr. started his career in 2012. So Jermell got a 5-year experience gap there. You know what I'm saying? He has more experience than Errol Spence Jr. And Jermell Charlo is a right-hand fighter, and Errol Spence Jr. is a lefty. He's a southpaw.
So I don't know what Bomack is talking about when he say Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo fight the same, because they do not fight the same. And if you look at the way each fighter approached the fight, you'll see that they're different, right? So instead of going through all the toughest fights, let's just look at, you know what I'm saying, the way Jermell Charlo, you know what I'm saying, navigated through the 154 division, right? You know what I'm saying? You can see Jermell use boxing and lateral movement to look for openings, you know what I'm saying? And because he has such great power, when he does strike you with a left hook or uppercut, the way he did Lubin, you know what I'm saying? Got him with a counter shot, you know what I'm saying? That just took him out the game. Or he hit Rosario with a solar plex shot, which took him out. Errol Spence Jr., on the other hand, he fights in accumulation of punishment on his opponents, right? So, you know, it may take, you know what I'm saying, 12 rounds, you know what I'm saying, of outpointing an opponent, or it'll be 12 rounds of thudding shots to the body, to the eye, breaking the orbital bone, breaking the ribs, that'll TKO his opponents. So if you look at, you know, Jermell, you know what I'm saying, they have 2 different ways of approaching. You know what I'm saying? You'll see Jermell come out and he'll feel you out by boxing, you know what I'm saying, a few rounds, seeing what you got, seeing how hard you hit, and then he'll try to pick you apart. He'll try to punch in between your punches, or he'll take one to give one, just to see if his opponents can take his power, right? You know, he made, you know, some mistakes, in his career, and I think that's one of the biggest difference between Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence Jr. is that Jermell, even though it was more competition at the time, in my opinion, more talent at 154 that Jermell had to face. He did lose to Tony Harrison, and he got a draw with Brian Castano. Now, those are two of the inconsistencies that Jermell Charlo faced in his career, right? And it was controversial loss to Tony Harrison, and it was a controversial draw to Brian Castano. But Jermell came back and avenged those losses, whereas Errol Spence Jr., he only had one split decision with Shawn Porter. And, even though they never went back to do a second fight, most people think that Errol Spence Jr. convincingly won that fight with Shawn Porter because he dropped him in the 11th round, right? And it was a lot of back and forth in that fight, but it looked like Errol was getting the best of Shawn Porter to the body, and Shawn Porter was missing a lot of shots. Whereas Jermell, it was, more of a clear outboxing because he was trying to knock out Tony Harrison, and Tony Harrison was just countering and outpointing Jermell at times in the fight, even though I think Jermell Charlo won that fight. So with Brian Castano, it was a little bit different. Looked like he kind of came on a little late, and Castano was getting him against the ropes and putting in the points. So, but that turned out to be a draw. So those were two controversial fights that Jermell Charlo had that Errol Spence Jr. didn't have to deal with because of his style, because he outpoints you. He makes sure that he's ahead of you in every round. Only when Danny Garcia, when he came back after the car crash, was when Errol Spence Jr., you really saw him take a break in a fight because he was still recovering from the car accident, and he still dominated Danny Garcia. So, Jermell and Errol Spence Jr., their defense are similar, but Errol Spence Jr., he catch and shoot more with his defense. He holds, he grabs just to give a shot, to inch in closer, to cross that mid-range area, whereas Jermell Charlo uses his footwork and lateral movement, to punch from different angles. He can give you a concussion uppercut or overhand right, and he's deadly with that left hook. So they're different. They have different styles, when you watch the action in the ring. And Jermell is more of a boxer than Errol Spence Jr. when it comes to, boxing around the ring. Errol Spence Jr. is more of a pressure type dude who's going to come straight at you, and press you out, even though he can box, but he prefers to fight. He prefers to brawl, but it's an educated, aggressive, tactical pressure that he puts on his opponent. And if they can't handle it, he'll continue. But if they, are better, then if they're gonna like crumble under the pressure, he'll keep going. So we haven't seen anybody made Errol Spence Jr. have to box, in the ring. He's been able to mix his styles, boxing and doing his pressure style, to have success in the ring. So if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. But they definitely have two different styles, because Jermell always starts out boxing, but they both do like to linger in the pocket so they can get off their shots, to the body and to the head. Whereas Jermell has more power to get rid of you, because if he hits you, you definitely gonna feel it. Like, Brian Castano just crumbled. I think that was the 10th round when he got rid of Castano, and his body he passed out or fainted because of the power of the undisputed champion Jermell Charlo. And Errol Spence Jr., he's unified, 3 times, in the 147 division. So, it says that, he took a belt from Kell Brook, he took a belt from Shawn Porter, and he took a belt from Eudanis Ugas. Now he's just got to face one more dude, and that's Terrence Crawford. And so I don't know what Bomack is looking at. I don't know if he's just saying, saying what he's saying for clout, or if he's just trying to downplay both of these guys or play them against each other. But that's definitely bullshit that these guys fight the same, you know what I'm saying? Because they definitely have different styles, and all you have to do is just watch them fight. And, you know what I'm saying? I do believe that Errol Spence Jr. defense is better than Jermell's. You know what I'm saying? I think Errol Spence Jr. uses his jab more to attack than Jermell. Jermell, he counters better than Errol Spence Jr. He's a better counter puncher because he boxes more, and he always looks for the counter, and he can knock you out with a counter. Errol Spence Jr. not so much, so he's always on the attack. So there's a difference right there that you could just see up front. Whereas, Jermell, he will go back to the ropes. He will, readjust his tempo and footwork. Whereas Errol Spence Jr., he could do the same, but he only do it when necessary, So, there's Errol Spence Jr. is the big fish at 147. Jermell Charlo is the big dog at 154, but they hit a lot harder at 154 than they do 147. Also, Errol Spence Jr. on defense, he does a lot of blocking with his hands, elbows, and he does a lot of blocking, when fighters come towards him, or throwing shots, he blocks with his body, he blocks with his arms, just to take off the impact. He rolls with punches. So, Jermell, he rolls with punches too, but he don't deflect punches or intercept punches like Errol Spence Jr. He's more of a high guard, and he moves laterally. He moves out the way. So Jermell, he uses more like traditional boxing slips and moving from side to side to get away from shots. And so I think Errol Spence Jr. defense, he uses his jab a lot differently than Jermell Charlo. And the way he go about knocking you out is different than Errol Spence Jr. So he goes for the hooks, the uppercuts, and different angles, whereas Errol Spence Jr., he's more straightforward, coming at you with combination punching, to the body. Not traditional combination punching, because he tends to punch like, double left, jab, and then a hook. Then he'll throw like a double shot, a double right hook to the body. So, this is the way Errol Spence Jr. breaks you down, and he fights at the same pace for 12 rounds. Now, he does change the speed on his jab. He does change the speed on his hook. He does those good things. But as far as the tempo, he tends to turn up later in the fight. Whereas Jermell Charlo, he just goes with the course of the fight. He turns up when he have you hurt, but he rarely just turns up to turn up. Like later in the fight. But his endurance, both of their endurances are probably similar, because they never run out of gas. They're always in the top shape, the best of shape. They're always cut and ready to make weight. So, other than that, they're not that similar, but they're the same kind of quality of fighters.